Hello, my beautiful brothers and sisters. It's Chelle here. So, for today's inspirational message, I'd like to talk to you about 3 miracles that I had happen to me this week. I know, 3. It's true. The first one was earlier on in the week when I did an angel portrait for my neighbor. His family had commissioned me to make a painting because he had lost his father a year ago. And he's been suffering, terrible guilt and anger and resentment over the situation revolving around his father's death. But when he opened the painting, I was there to witness what happened. And he came to me later. He had cried when he saw it. He came to me later. He said, "You have no idea what it means to me to get this painting. I've had a lot of anger and guilt and resentment revolving around the death of my father, and seeing this painting just made me realize that I just needed to forgive and forget all of that." And he said, I just feel so much better. Miracle number 1. Well, later on that evening, I had something terrible really happen to me. Not going to go over the details of what happened, just suffice it to say that it was in the top 10 of things that I never wanted to happen to me. Well, the next morning when I did my meditation, as I do every day, and I was talking to God, and I was crying, and I asked God, why did that have to happen? And as I quieted my mind, God usually just pops these words into my head. And, he said, it doesn't have anything to do with you. You have to realize sometimes that things happen and there's a higher purpose involved. You don't always have to know what that is, but just know that there's a reason that it happened. And he reminded me of the day before about what had happened to my neighbor, and how when he let go of the anger and the resentment and he forgave, that he instantly felt better. And so he encouraged me to do the same. And I did. I realized that it didn't have anything to do with me, that it all revolved around anger and resentment from someone else. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, so I forgave, and I'll tell you, I woke up the next morning and I felt light. I felt like the burden had been relieved, and not many people would have felt the same way I did so quickly. And that was miracle number 2. So later on in the week, I was talking to a friend of mine who, when I relayed both of the stories that had happened to me and both of the miracles, and, today, my friend that I had talked to texted me and says, "You're never going to believe what happened." He said, "I've been carrying around anger and resentment my whole life. I was abused as a child, and I carried around that resentment toward my step-parent my whole life. And it affected every relationship I've ever had. And, they're all gone, but I still hold on to that anger and resentment." So for the first time in my life, I sat down in complete silence for an hour, and I talked to God about it. And I asked him to help me to release that anger and resentment that I had. And he said, he made me realize that it didn't have anything to do with me. My step-parent had held on to anger and resentment of their own and took it out on me. And I forgave. And I instantly felt better. He said, not only that, later on in the day, God put another thought into my head, and he made me realize that the root of the whole problem actually happened before that. I have been angry and resentful over the fact that I was taken away from one parent and given to another to raise, and that was where the root of my anger really began. I held anger and resentment towards that person that made that happen. And he said, releasing that freed me in an instant. I have never felt so good as I did. My heart feels lighter, and I thank you for relaying that story to me so that I could release my own anger and forgive. So that's my inspirational words for this week. You know, it's Christmas time. It's the birth of Jesus. And in Jesus' words, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And I'm here to tell you that, miracles come not just in material ways. The greatest miracles of all are the ones where you heal your heart in an instant when you ask God to help you to forgive. And when you release that forgiveness, then your heart is healed, and that is the greatest miracle of all. No money can ever buy that miracle. So that's my uplifting words for the week. So love and light, my friends. I love you, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.